Yeah, I'd like to call this meeting in order. Please stand with the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Cardinal, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Pratt. Here. Mrs. Eldridge. Here. Mr. Sue.
Here.
Mr. Redford.
Here.
Mrs. Sarah. Here.
Mr. Gilmo should be here within the next minute or so. But I'll wait. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. This is our voting meeting for the month of October. It's going to go relatively fast. We had a work session last Wednesday evening where we reviewed all the possible action items. We've had a week to think about and gather more information on them. So tonight it will go pretty fast with the voting. There is a time set aside for questions or comments relative to non-agenda items at the end of the agenda to address the other questions. Recognition of meetings. October 8th, 2025 was a regular session of the Laurel School Board. September 10th was a regular meeting of the board, 7 to 7:21. Executive session for student matters, 7:24 to 7:32, and on October 1st, 2025, at 7:59 work session. Okay, tonight we have Pride and Promises with Air Physical Therapy.
Yes, so between Mr. Johnson, our athletic trainer, and I we've nominated Mr. Zelch, the owner of Air Physical Therapy, for their donation to our athletic training equipment. So we had, and I'm sure all of you know what these things are, we had a hot pack unit in our athletic training facility that quit working after about 27 years, so better life out of it. But this was a significant impediment to the prevention and treatment of injuries to our student athletes, since it's the most commonly used item in the area. Obviously, there were no parts to repair, so it would have been $2,500 to replace the piece plus shipping. Mr. Zelch and Air Physical Therapy have been nice enough to donate one to the Laurel School District. So that type of partnership, and we are trying to show a little bit of appreciation relative. So for your $2,500 donation, you get a nice little certificate. But congratulations.
Thank you. Real quick to the board, thank you. And I think you got a good man on your hands here with Mr. Johnson. Been doing this over 30 years and, developing relationships with different school districts, et cetera. And first time I ever received a nice little award, so it's very humbling. I appreciate it. Look forward to many years of progressing in our relationship. So thank you.
We'd like one favor, if you and Eric get a picture taken by Mrs. Columbus out there by our start.
Okay.
And afterwards, if you want to come back and listen to our music presentation about a field trip, more welcome. If you go home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have a band presentation, disclaimer, and Mr. Bush.
All right, good evening, everyone. What you'll see tonight is some information about our upcoming trip to Orlando, Florida, and some of the information about the trip regarding our students. This trip will happen, the plan is for the fall of 2026. So I'm going to do my best to not read off of the screen. You can take in that information. We can make this available to anybody on the board that would like a copy of it.
It's part of board docs. So we'll take this, we'll make it part of board docs, and it'll be a public accessible document.
Okay, perfect. The biggest thing I can say about this information is these are best estimates. The biggest thing is the airfare. Whenever we get closer to the actual date of the trip, then we will get firm prices. They get the information. They receive flight prices 11 months before the trip, so that should be December of this year. And they have a team that is solely dedicated to finding flights. So let's say we go with the estimate of $633.80, but then in March they find a flight for $450. We would go with the cheaper option. So they're scouring the flight details for that information. So the performance opportunities, you can, again, read. I'm going to do my best not to read off of all these things.
By the way, they have the information you gave.
Yeah.
Mr. Late, so they do have it. So this should be a nice refresher.
Oh, okay, wonderful. So these performance opportunities, the biggest thing is they're once in a lifetime opportunities. Some of these students may go on these trips and they may never get to these places again, not be able to perform with a group at this caliber in these places. We've been able to perform in Disney, singing and playing. We were at the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Baltimore. These are some major places our students were able to perform, and we look forward to these benefits of future trips. The company we use is CCIS. I believe it was I saw a presentation during one of our PMEA festivals, and I brought the information back to Kristen. We were very, very impressed with what they had to offer, and we went with this company for our last trip to Baltimore. The founders are from Butler. They understand music trip. They understand the trials and tribulations. So we decided, because of their detail-oriented process, we would go with them. The one thing I want to bring your attention to is the online payment method, Group Collect. So parents, family members, whomever can go in and make payments when it's convenient for them. You can also, there's a donation link. So if Aunt Jane and then Uncle Jimmy want to give $20 just because, and then somebody wants to donate around Christmas time, they have that opportunity to give a small financial contribution to students going on the trip.
So as you can see on the slide, we've listed the past 4 trips that we had scheduled, with the one to Pigeon Forge not happening because it was April of 2020. The trips that we have been able to go on with students have been wonderful and memorable experiences for everyone. After we planned the Baltimore trip, we realized with prices going up that taking trips every 2 years is a lot for families to handle the financial burden of that. And we look to try to make trips every 3 years from here on out. And we're hoping to continue to take trips in the fall instead of the spring. With fall being marching band season, there's less conflict with spring sports, with some of the testing and other things that the other students are involved with.
So that is all we have.
So with the information that you were given last week in this small presentation, any question, comment, or concern from the board to our music staff?
I have one. Was there a reason that you chose to fly instead of take the bus, which was much cheaper?
We would save a day of travel, and students wouldn't be out so many days. And it looks like it would be cheaper because you're paying for the bus no matter if you fill it or not. So let's say a bus costs $1,500. Even if you have 12 kids that fill up that bus, you are still on the hook for that $1,500. We could ask our point of contact to get information about busing if the board would like that, but the plan is to fly the students down. I believe it was Shenango that recently flew down, and their price was $1,750. And then Riverside is flying.
They're busing.
Busing, and they're at $1,800. So and the $1,700 we're estimating is on the higher end. We always go the higher end, because then if it goes down, their payments become less as we get closer to the trip. So we're trying doing our best to make it cost efficient.
Right. So what happens if you have less kids that are able to go? Does that impact the cost at all?
It would impact the cost. If the number of students go down, then the cost goes up, and we lay that out. That's one of our first points we get to them when we have a meeting.
Just curious.
Do you anticipate a high participation rate?
When we go to Florida, yes, that is usually one that there's a little bump of students being involved in that trip. We the number we shoot for is 75, and it looks like the people who are interested we're already close to that, and we're not even 12 months out from the trip yet.
I guess is I mean, everybody's out for money, you know, selling things. And I mean, this is a pretty high price tag. I'm a little concerned of how it impacts that overall, because, you know, you're gonna suck a lot of donations out of the community that aren't gonna go to other kids. Not that that, you know, is a game changer, but it's just a concern of mine. The other concern is, it would have been nice to know about this before you started it, because, I mean, people don't realize it's a big responsibility. We don't just wave to you guys and send you down the road. If something happens, we're the ones that's held responsible. So, you know, in the future, it would be nice to have a little heads up, or, you know, get this out front before we get this far. But other than that, I guess.
Just have one question. So band itself, marching band is 7 through 12.
Correct.
But what auxiliaries, if you have to try out, how are they going to manage that? So if you have seniors graduating, you have freshmen oncoming, or possibly folks that want to make teams, so on. How will that be managed, or is it managed? I mean, you obviously done this in the past.
Where we are bumping up our tryout dates, they are usually in March, April, depending on how the calendar falls. We are bumping them up to, should be right after winter break. We're working on changing that date so those students have the opportunity to make sure they are on the list and they're ready to go. This was discussed with our auxiliary and our auxiliary coaches and our staff about how do we handle this situation. We knew that would be a point of contention with doing the trip at a different point in time. My biggest concern was I didn't want to say, hey, you did the full marching season. Sorry, you can't go on the trip. So we wanted to make sure they were included in this process if they wanted to go on the trip.
I think my biggest concern is just the cost and overextending families that feel the pressure to go because their best friend is going. And I mean, you have that with any trip, but that's my concern, is people overextending themselves. It's a costly trip.
Sure, of course. There's no force of going on the trip. We don't require anyone to do fundraising. Fundraising helps to offset that cost, but there's nowhere where anyone is required to go on the trip. They have to make the decision for the student. The family has to make the decision that's best for them.
So you said going forward, they will be every 3 years, because I know some people weren't really thrilled that their kids were going to be missing it their senior year.
No, that was, we have some people that were a little upset with that, but we, you know, it's hard to make everyone happy. So the 3 years we felt like with rising costs, it gave people that chance to alleviate some financial stressors.
You mentioned Shenango and Riverside, and, you know, have you talked to other band and choir directors? Is that now the new norm, or is it relative to 2 years versus 3?
That's what it appears to be, based on information, because Shenango did go to, I believe it was Disney. Disney. But we reached out just to a couple people just to see what those costs were, to see if it was the new norm, and that is kind of what we're seeing. Those costs are just going up, and that it just seems to be like in general in these trips as well.
Yeah, my personal concern, if you will, similar to Mr. Redwood's. 80-some kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my head. $1,700. So that's $136,000 leaving this community to go to Orlando. That's a chunk. That's a chunk. Yeah, I understand it. It's once in a lifetime, but my concern with all these trips out of state is the juice really worth the squeeze? You can't, although you're not forcing anything, you can't discount societal peer pressure to go. Dollars don't go as far, interest rates are higher. And I'll circle back to Mr. Redford that we need to be out in front of these things rather than playing catch up behind. Anything else? Well, the board has taken no formal action on this trip yet, nor is any formal action planned, but I do believe that this board is better informed going forward. And if this is no longer a tentative but a definite appropriate permission sooner rather than later. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We look forward to hearing from everybody. Thank you so much.
Item 3, any reports from any standing committees of the board? Item 4, any additions to the administrative supervisor reports?
I have one thing to add, I apologize. Your places are, is a valid for the SBA election, but I think that have to be by Monday. I don't have any idea about any of these folks, but if anyone has any questions or if you have any, opinions on any of them, please let me know. Otherwise, I think there's only one person for each position, so I'll probably just ask the vote that way, but.
It's nice to have a tally. It's nice to have participation. And I will say, even though he is unopposed, Mr. Matt Benoit, lives in the Sharon City School District, but I believe he's the principal in Linesville. His dad, John, former administrator at Sharon City School District, superintendent of Sharpsville. Matt's in it for all the right reasons. I don't know these other people. I know Matt, running out of post, obviously is going to win, but I'd encourage you to exercise your voice on being unopposed.
And I believe the state passed the budget tonight.
Well,
Or did they?
If you read the second email after they told me the first email that passed it, they said premature. So, yeah. Psych. So, if you check in your emails, there's one that says it's passed, and then there's another one that says, whoops, coming from the PARS Association, Pennsylvania Student Association of Rural School Districts. So, no, we're sitting here without a budget. And to Mr. Nemo's question earlier in the week, we are paying bills on what we have received from local taxes. And remind me again how we made our $1.2 million bond payment. So, you know, even though if and when they pass a budget, if we get the monies back that we are owed, we will not get any interest lost from taking that out of our money market.
Okay, item B, information reports are on board docs. Item 5, comments, questions from the board relative to agenda items. Item 6, approval of the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Censeri, second by Mr. Nemo. Any discussion on the motion? Any negative votes? Any abstentions? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Treasury report, investment and bill listings, Mr. Kevin.
This is very, this recommendation of the superintendent to the board to approve the treasurer's report as of September 30th, 2025, as outlined below.
So moved. Motion.
I'll check these other two together. The investment report and the list of general bills is the recommendation of the superintendent to the board to approve the attached investment report for September 25. In addition to the recommendation of the superintendent of the board to approve general fund bill listing October 8th, 2025 in the amount of $22,637.12, and checks written annually in the month of September 25 in the amount of $1,155,000, $270.89, for a total of $1,177.01. It is recommendation of the superintendent of the board to approve the food service fund bill listing for October 8th in the amount of $62,183.83.
Okay, that's, any, I have a motion by Mr. Limo, a second by Mrs. Brest. Any discussion on motions? Negative votes, any abstentions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 9, personnel, Mrs. Censeri.
It is the recommendation of the superintendent board to approve the A, retirements, resignations, B, bus monitor, C, hourly instructional and special education aid, D, Title I paraprofessional, B, the 2025-2026 stream team. App development, professional development workshop seminars. And G, additions to the volunteer management for substitutes.
So moved. Motion by Mr. Nemo, second by Mrs. Audrey. Any discussion on items A through G? Any negative votes? Any abstentions? All in favor? Aye. Motion's carried. Item 10, board action items, committee of the whole. Item A is Delta Dental. Item B is disposal of assets, West 87 and Van 18. Item C, the vending machine service agreement. Item D, agreement for collection of delinquent real estate taxes. Item E, resolution 1025-1. Item F, resolution 10252. Item G is the adult basketball program. Item H is the adult walking program. Item I is student teacher. Item J is field trips, student activity trips.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Sinceri, second by Mr. Nemo. Any discussion on any of the motions? Any negative votes? Any abstentions? All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, item 11, comments or questions from the floor relative to non-agenda items.
All right, I guess that's right, and then.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Keaton, so if you know me, that I have 4 girls in Laurel from 15 to 10. I coached soccer, was on the soccer board. We've approached Lenny Rich multiple times in the past 15 years to have a co-op with Wilmington. Wilmington has approached a couple parents. We've been in communications with them and their soccer coaches, and they are in need of our girls. We have 4 eligible girls right now that could play for Wilmington. All I'm here is to ask that you send a letter and that we actually see the correspondence and the response from Wilmington. I don't think it's unreasonable. We have 2 players that play hockey at Neshannock. Wilmington comes and wrestles with us. Our girls should have the opportunity to play soccer. So that's all I'm here to ask, is that you send a letter and that we can have this. I do have a petition that went out. I organically sent it out on Spartan Country. I didn't send it out in our team reach for soccer. And organically, 217 families in the Laurel community signed it in support. I know it was brought to your attention, and I don't understand why it was shut down and not brought to the community. Very few of it. So.
I'm glad they accept that to be included in the minutes. What, is that a copy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So would you be willing to send a letter?
I'm not gonna
Why not?
comment.
Why can't we have the discussion about, is the school board in favor of?
Well, actually, the school board's the only one that gets to vote. Lenny doesn't get to vote. So.
Would the school board be willing to vote on a co-op with Wilmington?
We haven't discussed it yet, so I'm not going to make a public comment.
But it was discussed. And I have proof of that through an email with Ken Locke.
We haven't had a discussion before yet.
But I think it's a shame that your AD didn't bring it to the school board's attention and that Lenny and Ken Locke can have a conversation about it and it not brought to your attention. So how do we get it on the agenda to be voted on?
The board would have to put it on the agenda. At this time, I don't see this board having any interest in adding something like that. I'll just be blunt with you because I'm not going to be accused of running around the bush. At this time, I just don't see it.
Why is there an entrance that we can play hockey?
Those are
and
you're
that we
comparing
can-
apples and oranges, and I'm not going to get into that.
That's not apples and oranges. You're telling 4 girls that they don't have an opportunity to play soccer.
Since the state sanction, that's not the same. That's also playing
All we-
17 and 18-year-old boys because they can't play on a girls' team. They're playing co-ed with boys against 17, 18-year-old boys because there isn't a opportunity for them to play on a girls' team here.
Were the board members aware that a year ago I called Mr. Lake? I called Mr. Locke first. He flipped me over to Mr. Lake. Was the board ever aware of that? That I tried to do this for my daughter, to get her to be able to co-op? High school soccer is completely different than playing for a rec club. High school soccer is more competitive and the girls make friends and it carries through, just like football, just like basketball, just like baseball.
And you're talking about financial burdens for Corey Cynthia. I pay $500 a month per daughter to play club soccer because they don't have an opportunity to. Now, my kids are very fortunate to have that opportunity. Is it different? Yes. They should be able to let her. They should be able to have that school pride. And you're stripping that away from a handful of girls. It's shameful.
Well, we're not going to get into a discussion about it tonight. If we do change our mind, we will.
Well, how do you get it on the agenda to vote?
One of us would have to make a motion.
Well, it would be the board president or the administration to make the recommendation to put it on the agenda. And like I said, at this time, I don't see this board having an interest in pursuing.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brooke Baker. I have 2 kids in this district. My daughter would also be one of the ones that would be eligible to play. She's a 9th grader currently. And like Becky said, I know that you guys have heard this a lot of times. I know that this has been brought up many times before, but I just wanted to, reiterate some of the things these parents are saying. This school district is actually really fortunate to have a good feeder program for soccer. The Laurel Soccer Club has done amazing things for this community for many years. I know lots of your kids have played. Maybe just when they were younger, maybe they didn't continue it, maybe they played other sports, but this community really benefits from the soccer program through the soccer club, and it would be really great if those kids that did enjoy soccer had a place to continue to play. And I think that's really all any of these parents have ever really wanted. It's just a place, for these kids to continue to play soccer. I mean, soccer is not an obscure sport. It's a really popular sport. It's probably the most popular sport in the world if you're talking about worldwide sports. So all we're really asking is just to be open-minded about this. I know that there's all those concerns that are always brought up, financial concerns, concerns about would it pull kids from other sports. I really think we're talking about a pretty limited number of kids that wants to pursue this and wants to be able to play, wants to be able to letter, wants to be able to just have this as an option as a high school sport. Because like Becky said, a lot of kids, they're not gonna be able to play club soccer. Even if they can financially afford to do it, maybe they can't play it because they do other sports. And if they can't take the time to play for a club, because any parent, if you play travel baseball, if you play travel softball, if you play AAU basketball, that that's a huge commitment and it's going to pull you from other sports, and club soccer is definitely that way. They travel a lot, they play all year. So, these other kids, if they play another sport, they're not going to be able to play club soccer, but they might very well be able to play for their high school. So, I know that this subject has been brought up a lot before, but that's only because I feel like there is interest in this community. There are kids who are dedicated to this sport. I mean, my daughter's played since she was 3 years old. So it would be nice if she had a way to pursue that in high school.
Well, I think the board understands where you're coming from, and it'll give us something to think about. And there may come a time we discuss it. I wouldn't look forward to on next month's agenda. So, thank you. Is there anything else to come before the board this evening? If not, we will be going into executive session for personnel after the meeting, but with that, I will ask for adjourning this. Second. Motion by Mr. Tappan, Mr. Lemon. Any discussion on the motion? Any negative votes and abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you for coming.